Content disclaimer. This episode focuses on a review of a 2010 album by Kanye West. The discussion focuses solely on the music released at that time. The episode is not meant to condemn nor condone any choices the artist has made in his personal life since then.
Hello and welcome to the Infectious Groove Podcast, part of the Odd Pods Media Network. Recorded at the 33 1/3 Music Appreciation Center in Speakeasy, located just outside of Detroit, Michigan. The Infectious Groove Podcast is your source for jammy jams, music news, and the best in-depth music discussion. Thanks for joining us. Now here are your hosts.
Coming to you from yet another wonderful Michigan winter storm, it's Russ, Kyle, and Michelle in the Infectious Groove Podcast. And this week, audio will be a little less than desirable because of the aforementioned snowstorm. And Kyle and Michelle have chosen to stay home because of, they're all, I don't want to slide all over the road just to get there for a podcast. Oh, and what about the baby? So
it is 0.7 miles away.
Yeah. If you were going to make a drive, that would be the one to do, but still, I wouldn't want you guys even trying that.
Yeah, it took me an hour and a half to get home from work today, and that was at the beginning, so...
You have to quantify that? Like, what if it usually takes you 2 hours to get home from work? How long does it take you?
It takes me 40 minutes on a good day to get home from work.
Okay. So just in the future, remember that your listeners don't know that type of stuff and say something along the lines of, it took me twice as long to get home from work as usual.
They should write it down.
Right.
Let's just say I've already shoveled twice, and I can't even tell that I shoveled now. So
yeah.
Hey, Kyle, what were you wearing when you were shoveling?
Shorts, man. Last
week on the program, Michelle, what did we talk about last week, Michelle? Do you have any idea whatsoever?
The Oneaters.
We did. We talked about the Wonders and the documentary made about them, that movie, That Thing You Do. We are recording this episode early enough to where I'm thumbing through the feedback, and I don't think we have much feedback from last week's episode just yet because, we do have some because we're recording this particular episode much earlier than usual, but we do have feedback from episodes prior from that has come in since those episodes came out, so we'll share that right now.
Feedback, Joe.
Don't worry about that. Right. You're not going to roll me without feedback.
Sean and Chris were first out of the gate and said, so I gave the Kelly Clarkson album a shot. I listened to it start and stop a few times, and I didn't have an issue with really anything on it, but music and movies are both subjective, and not everything is for everyone. That falls into this category for me, which I totally get. Like, I don't think anybody would be expected to put on that Kelly Clarkson record and be like, oh, this is my favorite thing ever now,
Yeah.
So
yeah, true.
I do get that. A new listener, Rick, on Twitter said, I love the Kelly Clarkson episode. I agree with the rating that the album's an 8 out of 10. Also, let's continue to normalize the concept that Kelly Clarkson is truly the best vocalist in the last 20 years. Strong agree. So more votes for my assertion that Kelly's the best singer alive. More feedback on the Kelly Clarkson episode. We had an Instagram comment this time, which we get a ton of likes on Instagram, but nobody really comments anything on episodes. So we welcome that. And the username was NSFlick, says, this episode does not disappoint. Lovely review of her album. I also love the album a lot. I've been saying for over a decade that she's the best vocalist alive, and I've been a fan since American Idol. Excellent album, and I can't wait for her next one. Great podcast, which I think is awesome.
Yeah.
Love getting new listeners.
Sweet.
So we did, a couple of weeks ago, we did that episode on artists who change genres, and we've had a couple of people come along and be like, mention this artist or that one that we didn't think of. And some of them have been really interesting perspectives. On Twitter, Leo Allen said to us, as far as the topic of artists changing genres go, I always think of Outkast Speaker Box. They took a different approach, and Andre was always mixing in his funky style with hip hop, so they decided to separate the two with the double album, which I kind of agree with. Like they didn't change genres, but they totally divided up.
They shifted the spectrum of what they were beforehand with Speaker Box and Love Below. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I don't think that's something, even you and I, Kyle, I don't think either of us, with as much as we both know collectively about hip hop, I don't think we would have ever thought about that without the listener feedback,
No, and I love those two albums too.
Yeah, for sure.
Are you saying I don't know anything about hip hop?
I'm saying you don't know a lot about a lot of music. It's not exclusive to just hip hop.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah, hey, no problem. From this past episode, we had one sentence feedback regarding Michelle from listener Joe Hart, who sends simply this. Oh no, I agree with Michelle on 7. the Prince song that you said was his best song. But I love that the instant thing is, oh no, I agree with Michelle.
Yeah.
People are quite upset about that. Seth, as always, clocking in with his feedback, and his feedback on our episode of That Thing You Do said, wait a minute, Liv Tyler didn't die? Anyways, great episode. I'm surprised Michelle didn't complain about the runtime, but are we sure Liv Tyler didn't die? Hashtag Michelle is awesome. Next up, I ran a poll on Twitter this week, and I asked the question, which of the two do you think Michelle qualifies for? And one was Michelle is super great, and the other choice was Michelle is awesome. And the results of the poll are in. Would you guys like to hear? I
cannot wait.
In a commanding lead, with 92% of the vote, Michelle is awesome, against 8% for Michelle is super great.
I don't know which one's better.
Well, you coined both. You gave yourself your own phrase, so
I appreciate both, but I think I voted for Michelle's awesome since you said I couldn't vote for both.
Right. You couldn't vote for both. That's correct.
So, yeah.
Dave weighs in on the controversy surrounding the Michelle is awesome. This is just hurtful. It says, Michelle is awesome and the glue that holds the podcast together. Quite frankly, it should just be called Infectious Groove with Michelle and guests.
And then what did I put?
That's a good question, Michelle. What did you put?
I put change approved.
You did. You probably did put change approved. That sounds accurate to me.
So we need to change the intro.
Like we are not going to change the intro. I tell you what we are going to do, though. We're going to move on to our next segment. Our Jammies. Our Jammy Jams this week. I was listening to 3 artists this week for all 3 different reasons, but when you hear the 3, you're going to be like, well, yeah, obviously, all 3 of those go together, and of course you were listening to all 3 of those. Frank Sinatra, Ozzy Osbourne, and Kanye West, which I'm sure, like I say, everybody's like, well, yeah, of course you're listening to all 3 of those at the same time. But Sinatra...
I was going to ask if Frank Sinatra rubbed off.
It did. Well, so the Frank Sinatra rubbed off on myself from the suggestion I gave you to listen to the Sinatra at the Sands record, which I have no doubt in my mind you didn't listen to. But
did you listen to Adele?
I have not listened to Adele.
Okay.
No. I was just, before we started recording tonight, I listened to 3 records in a row. None of them were Adele.
You were alone.
I was alone. And
he's getting around to it, okay?
Yeah, I'm going to get to it. Just leave me alone. I also bought the new Lumineers LP last Friday and have no intention of spending that anytime soon. So there's that as well.
Just collecting dust, huh?
Yes, that's exactly what it's doing. But with Frank Sinatra, I took my own advice and just dove back into that Live at the Sands LP, which is just stunningly good. So I listened to that a lot. I don't even know how I got on an Ozzy kick the other day, but I was really listening to Ozzy's like early and mid 90s material a great deal. Perry Mason, See You on the Other Side, Old LA Tonight, No More Tears, all that stuff, having a great time with that. And then honestly, besides listening to Kanye for this week's topic of reviewing, I'm always going to say this wrong, I put the words out of order, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. Instead of just listening to just that, I did something I haven't done in a long time with an album review and listened to a bunch of other material by the same artist. Like usually I just listen to the album and that's it. But for this week, there was a lot of things, and we'll get into it in a review, where I was like, oh man, a lot of this reminds me of like what they consider old Kanye. So I listened to a lot of his older stuff again for the first time in a while.
I had the same thing happen.
With Kanye?
Mm-hmm.
How about that? So, like I said, I know it's remedial to say because I'm sure everybody who listens to Sinatra immediately listens to Ozzy and Kanye afterwards. But that's what that's what happened to me this week.
I can see how you get from A to B.
Yeah, for sure. Kyle, what have you been listening to this week?
There's quite a bit actually.
Oh boy!
But most of it consists of Kanye West because of the album review, but also because he's in my CD player in my car. So
right.
I frequently listen to it. I also was listening to the deluxe version of Donda again with the baby, and she loves it.
Of course, as all children would.
Lies.
Yes, I figured it doesn't cuss, so she,
Oh yeah, that's right.
She doesn't have to put on earmuffs or anything. It's fine.
Yeah, the album doesn't cuss, but you sure do.
That's not true.
Okay.
Beyond that, it's just a couple singles that have come out, as of recent. 50 Foreign put out a song called City of Gods, and it features Alicia Keys and Kanye West. It's on the radio and whatnot now too, but like no.
You have no respect for copyright laws, young lady.
Vance Joy also put out a couple new singles.
That's right.
Called Don't Fade and Missing Piece.
I knew that they were out. I just hadn't listened to them yet.
I don't know if they're going to be part of an EP or an LP or what's going to happen with them, but they're together underneath the same album artwork on Spotify. So
right on. What else you got?
One more. Maren Morris put out a song called Background Music, and it is also fantastic.
I ain't mad at that. I love her voice. She's one for me that just can sing anything. I will definitely look up her latest single.
And she changes it up all the time. Like her last single that she put out before this one was very country. This one is not. I like the back and forth kind of.
Yeah, the first time I heard about her, because the first two songs I heard were wildly different, I was like, Maren Morris? You know what I mean? Like that same person? But I love it. So that's cool. Michelle, is there any chance you have any jammy jams for us, or did you just listen to Kanye and that's it?
I did listen to other music.
Oh.
Mostly Kings of Leon. So
was it because Kanye name-checked Kings of Leon on the record that we're going to review?
So they did that, and then read that, and then on my way home from work one day, Sex on Fire was on, and I was like, oh, I would like to hear more of that. And then
you didn't put the new album on, did you?
No.
I'm glad you walked us through that whole process, though, by the way. Oh, I would like to hear more of that. You sound like you were in a King's...
Michelle's mind.
It was like it sounded like you were in a Kings of Leon infomercial.
Yes, that's how this works. So it's just been pretty much everything except for the latest album. So I'll put some of my favorite jams on there, but it started with Sex on Fire.
I need to go back and dig into Walls again, which I think is the second to last record, right?
Yes.
Second to last latest. Yeah. I need to go back and dig into that. I did not give that record a fair shake at all when it came out. So see, that's what happens. I hurried up and listened to a record and then I didn't give it its fair shake. That's why I'm waiting on Adele, waiting for her to get her fair due.
When do you think that will be? Are you going to wait until it's not popular anymore?
I will listen to that record before the end of 2022.
It's fucking February, man.
I'm making commitments I can stick to. That's what I'm doing.
All right, I'll write it down.
That is our Jammy Jams and what we have been listening to. A couple of things of note. If you want to leave us feedback, you can do it pretty much anywhere on the internet. You can go right to infectiousgroupodcast.com and write us through there. We're on all the social media. We're on YouTube. If you basically Google Infectious Group Podcast, you will find a way to get a hold of us and leave us some sort of feedback on any episode. And then as far as our Jammy Jams go, I don't think I mentioned this near enough, but we do have a Spotify playlist that we update every week with all of the songs and artists that we talk about every single week on the show. And I try to remember to post the link to that on our socials, but I don't remember as often as I should. So if you're listening to the show and you want a link to that, please just drop a note anywhere on social media or even on our website, and we will get the link right back to you. We are going to take a quick break. When we come back, Kyle has chosen a record for us to review, and I want to make sure I say this right. This is My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy by Kanye West. We are going to get into a review of that when we come back in just a second. You're listening to the Infectious Group Podcast on the Odd Pods Media Network.
I'm Richie, aka Midnight Agent Raw.
I'm Devin, aka Special Delivery Dev.
We're the Super Media Bros Podcast. And each week, we give a comedically informative take on movies,
music,
television,
pro wrestling,
and much more. Check us out at supermediabrospodcast.com, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere else that you can listen to podcasts. Shades on.
We're off.
We are back. It's Ross, Kyle, and Michelle, and we are about to get into the second half of our latest episode of the Infectious Groove Podcast. This one is an album review, and we cycle through who picks one for us. We always have Michelle, Kyle, then me, and then we even get around to doing crowdsourced picks, and every so often. This week, Kyle had an album for us to review, so let's get into it.
The Infectious Groove Podcast.
Album review.
Oh, I'm sure I'll say something dumb.
That's what Michelle sounds like when she's in the studio. Oh, I'll say something dumb. We are going to move into the review. And as I said, I do not know why, but I cannot, without looking at it, get the words of the album title of this in order. correctly. I always want to say it incorrectly. So I physically have to look at this. The album that we are reviewing is My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy by Kanye West. It is his 5th studio record. It was released on November 22nd, 2010. And Kyle picked this one for us to review. And when we can, we always like to have the person who brought the album to us tell us why they want us to listen to it and review it. So Kyle, why did you force Michelle to listen to this album this week? Let's put it that way.
Because this is everything that I want a Kanye West record to be. From start to finish, it is a thought out, masterfully done piece of artwork. And I don't know how else to describe it besides that. But
no,
yeah,
I get that.
It's just everything from the packaging, the album artwork. The artwork is done by George Kondo, who's a famous artist. And the original album artwork was banned from stores, so like they sold it as a blurred out version of what was supposed to be there, and then they ended up selling it with a different version altogether of a different painting by George Kondo.
That's interesting.
So there was a little bit of controversy there with the artwork.
Yeah, that was the first question I had when I looked it up. Is I remember there being controversy when it came out. I didn't know any of the details, and then when I looked it up on Spotify and saw that it was obviously an edited cover, I was like, I definitely want to ask Kyle about that because he's going to know. But that's interesting, though, and who was the artist you said did the original painting?
George Kondo.
Okay, and they ended up, when they switched the cover, they used a different painting of his?
Well, so at first they pixelated the George Kondo painting that was supposed to be unedited. Mm-hmm. And that came out, and I believe there's an alternate cover. It shows I think it's actually was released as the single artwork for Runaway.
Okay.
But it's like a ballerina with an umbrella, I think. But I think they used those two images interchangeably, the edited one and then the ballerina one.
Gotcha. See, the reason why I bring that up is because Appetite for Destruction very famously had a very different cover before the cross and skulls that everyone is used to. And it was from a painting by an artist named Robert Williams. And the name of the painting was Appetite for Destruction. So the album actually even got its title from the painting. But when they switched it, they didn't go with another Robert Williams piece. They just switched it over to the skulls and cross. So I just thought that was interesting that for this one, they used a different painting by the same artist. So I have to assume, I don't know anything about the background of the artist, but I would have to assume the artist is probably important to Kanye, or his work is important to him or something for him.
If you were to buy the album, it came as a double disc, I believe. No, I lied. It's in deluxe packaging, but it's just a single disc.
Right.
But it has a huge fold-out booklet of a bunch of different George Kondo artwork pieces that I think Kanye had possibly commissioned for this album specifically, or something like that.
There you go. Okay, that makes sense. So as we go through our album review, we always have the same way that we go about it. We talk about each of what we feel are the best tracks on the record. We talk about if there are any stinkers on the record. Generally, that takes much longer for Michelle to get through that portion of her reviews than either of Kyle or I. Then we kind of go into the open discussion about just things in general about the record we like and so on. So when we start this out, we try to, again, lean into the person that brought the record to us. So Kyle, for you, what are your best tracks on this record? And remember, I've done this before. It's okay to say all of it if you like the record that much.
I do want to back up for a second. The alternate cover that was sold in stores is the ballerina does not have an umbrella. She has like a wine glass that she's holding.
Okay.
But that's the one that and the edited cover are the two things that were I believe sold retail.
Gotcha.
Anyways, my absolute favorite track on this record is Monster, because it is a monster of a track. Damn it, I don't even know how else to explain it. If you put that in and crank the speakers a little bit, it's amazing.
So everything on that track, I guess that's the crossroad of where everything right on this record meets for you, the beat, the production, the rhyme schemes, everything.
Yeah, it's so good. It has Rick Ross, Jay-Z, Nicki Minaj, and Boniver on it.
Boniver. Kyle, Kyle, I think you're just more of a Boniver fan than anything.
Well, see, Michelle had mentioned that, and she was like, Boniver is on a couple of these songs. I said, a lot of people didn't even know who Boniver was until Kanye started featuring him all the time in a bunch of his work.
By the way, for newer listeners, I always feel like we should stop off and let people know that we are not idiots, and we know it's not Boniver. We know it's not Boniver. Well, yeah, we pretend that we're not idiots most of the time.
Yeah.
We know it's not Boniver. We just think it's funny and we're immature, and we say it that way. So
we also realize that it's not just one single guy.
There was quite the kerfuffle over there. So, So, but Monster is hands down your best track on the record.
Yeah, honestly, Monster, So Appalled, Devil in a New Dress, and Runaway, all 4 in a row, I think are amazing together, and they just go so well together.
Yeah, I hear you. I will go through. Actually, you know what? We'll stop off at Michelle. Michelle, did you like anything on this record at all? Do you have any? And I'm kind of discounting you. I keep setting this up like you're going to hate this. I just, as I was listening to this, I was like, there were whole parts of the record that I was like, Michelle's not going to like this. So, surprise us.
I liked this album more than I thought I was going to, and I was trying to think.
I've fallen into this trap before.
I was trying to think of another hip hop rap album that I have actually listened to front to back besides Eminem.
You haven't listened to either of the Chronic or the Chronic 2001? Boy, are you missing out.
Not front to back. I've probably listened to the whole thing at some point, but not like sat down and like just put on a record. Even though it's over an hour long, I did enjoy it.
Wow.
But my jam, I have quite a few jams. Dark Fantasy, Power, All the Lights, Monster, and Runaway.
Right on. That was the first note that I had is Dark Fantasy is a fantastic way to open this record. And not only that, Gorgeous is a fantastic follow-up in that. And I know I talk about this so much on the show, but track listing, running order means so much to me. And a lot of this record is tracked so well.
It goes very well together. That's part of what I like about it so much.
So I had quite a few that I feel are the best tracks on the record. So Dark Fantasy, Gorgeous, Monster, Devil in a New Dress. Now, Who Will Survive in America, I like a great deal, but I feel strongly that song should be credited to Gil Scott-Heron and not Kanye West, since the entirety of the vocal is Gil Scott-Heron. So I actually double checked the ASCAP rights on it to see if it was credited to Gil Scott-Heron, because when you use an old Gil Scott-Heron recording and his vocal is the entirety of the song, is that not a Gil Scott-Heron song?
Yeah, I mean, I would think it. Yeah,
Is he credited on the song?
Everything that I could find, no. I mean, I'm sure on the actual CD booklet, my guess is it says featuring Gil Scott-Heron or whatever, but writing credits, all I could find was Kanye. So I'm not all up in arms about it. I just was like, how is he not? That's weird,
That is weird.
So, but I still have it listed as one of my best tracks, probably 80% because I love Gil Scott-Heron so much. So that could be why as well. For stinkers, I have some trouble. I have some mess I'm going to start, so I'm going to go. I'm going to go last on this. Kyle, let's circle back to you. What do you have? Are there any stinkers on this, or even anything that you think this shouldn't go here, like this would have been better placed elsewhere on the record, or anything like that?
In my personal opinion, I don't think Kanye West has released a stinker ever.
My!
What?
Oh boy!
So that's how I feel about that.
Well, boy, do I have some news for you.
To me, there are no stinkers on this record.
That's fair.
I feel like it was very well thought out, pre-planned, and everything is where it should be according to Kanye's vision.
That's fair. I get that. Michelle, do you have any stinkers on the record?
So I have one, and I called it a non-jam. So the lyrics are annoying, but I like the beat a lot, and so it kind of, if you can just tune out what he's saying, it's nice.
Yeah.
Hell of a Life. I can't get down with.
That is on my stinker list. That's the only full stinker that I have. I have 3 that are iffy stinkers, or let's say non-jams. But Hell of a Life, I'll tell you, my notes for that say exactly this. I will read it off the screen. It says, "This is a complete misuse of the Iron Man melody."
Accurate.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just lyrically not there for me.
I will say that the Chris Rock interlude runs for too long, in my opinion, and it starts to get annoying.
Yeah.
Wait, I thought that was on Blame Game.
Well, it's the end of it. It's an interlude it's not an interlude by itself, but it's at the end of the song. Yeah.
Yeah. In my notes, I put "not safe for work" for that part of that song.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I would say probably only Donda and his gospel album are safe for work.
And I work in a place where it doesn't really matter what you listen to. Nobody's gonna turn you into HR. And I even turned it way down. I was like, oh.
That's great.
I personally wouldn't even mind if that got cut short. I Chris Rock is fine, but that whole kind of skit thing just gets old, and it's too drawn out.
It's too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Hell of a Life I had as my only big stinker, and then I had Blame Game and Lost in the World as iffy. Let me say this. I think, Kyle, you've talked along these lines before where like I wouldn't call it a stinker, but like I would never put that song. If I was going to listen to this record, I wouldn't put those songs on. You know what I mean? So like, not exactly a stinker, but not. Now here's the one that I'm going to take crap for, and I'm prepared for this. Runaway is entirely too long. That song needs like a minute shaved off of it. And you're talking to a person who has the nerve to listen to 23-minute Pink Floyd songs and be like, perfect when it's over. So like, I'm not a stranger to long songs, but the entire last minute of that song does not need to exist.
Yeah, it's just him making noise and playing the beat over and over and over again. So
right.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. It's unnecessary. But I don't even know why it's there.
So
going and going, I guess.
So let me be clear. I'm not putting it on the list as a stinker, but I am saying that ruins that song so much for me. You know what I mean? Like I enjoy it until that starts, and then I'm real unhappy that started.
Then you're real unhappy that it keeps going.
And then I get increasingly mad as it keeps going.
Kyle, didn't you say there was a play about that song or something?
Yeah, the music video for that is a very huge like production type thing that went along with that.
One thing as we moved into open discussion on this, because we already addressed the cover art, which is one thing I definitely wanted to talk about because there's obvious controversy and issues surrounding the cover art for the record. One thing I read on this was that this was recorded during, now I'm quoting an article that I read that said this record was entirely recorded during Kanye's self-imposed exile in Hawaii. And first things first, I will volunteer for a self-imposed exile in Hawaii. So like if they're passing those out. And second of all, I'm kind of putting you on the spot about this, Kyle, but don't feel the need to like know everything about it. But do you know anything about that? Was that when he was at the beginning of kind of his struggles with fame and some of his mental illness struggles, or do you know why that occurred?
It's part of his creative process. He did the same thing when the album Ye was released. He went and exiled himself in Wyoming.
Gotcha.
No, Wyoming.
So, and he used to have a whole huge property in Wyoming, and then this whole big deal.
And
then everyone.
That and Wyoming being the hotbed of rap.
Yeah.
I had heard that.
I think it's just part of his creative process. He doesn't want anything or anyone to interrupt what he's trying to get out and put down. And after he originally came up with everything, it was recorded at like 3 or 4 different studios, like a couple in New York, in Hawaii, New York, somewhere else too, that he worked on everything with everybody else on. I honestly think it's just part of his creative process to doing things.
For sure. Yeah. Okay. So I was just curious about that. I didn't know if there was much more backstory, but if it's part of your creative process, then that's the way it's done, and that's fine too. I just didn't know.
And Michelle, you asked about Runaway, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a 34-minute movie that goes along with that song.
That song feels like it's 34 minutes.
If it's just more of the outro, I'm going to be very upset.
No, so the music video that you see like on YouTube or on TV is like 8 minutes long. But the actual like full length film, I think that he even put it in a couple of theaters when this whole thing came out.
Yeah.
Is like a little over a half hour long.
Huh.
Another thing I wanted to talk to you guys about with this record, and Kyle, by all means, before if we come out of open discussion and we go into the last 2 questions that we ask, if you have more that you would like to mention on this record, by all means. But I came across something interesting today that I wanted to talk to you guys about. Now, this record won Best Rap Album at the Grammys, but it did not win Album of the Year. And I was kind of surprised. I was like, really? I'm surprised that wasn't just a walk-away win for Album of the Year. So I looked up what the nominees were for Album of the Year, because it didn't even get nominated for Album of the Year. So here were the nominees: was Adele, 21, The Foo Fighters, Wasting Light, Lady Gaga, Born This Way, Bruno Mars, Doo-Wops and Hooligans, and Rihanna, Loud. And Adele, obviously, as soon as I saw the list, I was like, well, yeah, Adele won Album of the Year for 21.
Yeah.
But so here's my question. Are there any records on that list that y'all would kick off to put Kanye in Album of the Year discussion?
I haven't heard the Bruno Mars
one. Yeah,
one.
Foo Fighters off.
Oh, dude, that's the best record they've ever made. You can't take that record off of there.
Okay, I lied. I would take Bruno Mars off.
Yeah,
second.
Me too. And Michelle, you said Bruno as well.
I don't think I've ever heard it, so I can't say conclusively that it would be that one, but I think it would be that one.
Well, first of all, I should say before I even get through, I'm not a Rihanna fan at all. Like I've never liked anything that she's done. So like that would be an insta block for me. But at the same time, it's not fair for me to just be like, oh, well, I don't like her and I haven't heard that. So that would be off. But I have heard and I own Bruno Mars, Doo-Wops and Hooligans. And that it's a good record, but it's not even in the discussion with Kanye. Like I would easily have kicked that out and given Kanye at least the nod for album of the year, if not the way. Like personally, I would think that from that list, either Wasting Light or 21 would be the album of the year. But I don't know, maybe I'm on an island on this. I'm just surprised that it wasn't even nominated for album of the year.
Yeah, because the numbers that it did beyond that, it's kind of surprising. I agree with you that it debuted at number 1 on Billboard 200, obviously.
Right. Yeah.
And it ended up. It sold 496,000 copies in, I think, the first week.
Which is massive for this era that we're in.
And it eventually went on to be registered triple platinum. So
yeah. Yep.
It sold a shitload of records.
Has there ever been a rap album that has won album of the year?
I would have to look it up, but I feel like there's been at least one. That would have been something fantastic for me to think of earlier today and look up, but I did not.
You could go back to that, too, and say that rappers tend to get snubbed when it comes to big categories like that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I hear that as well. I mean, it's getting better and has gotten better, but I'm still surprised. That's fairly recent, 2010. I'm very surprised that it wasn't at least nominated. And again, I don't think it would have got the win if it had been nominated, but I'm just very surprised that it wasn't at least.
Would you consider Lauryn Hill?
Of course.
Yeah, she won album of the year in 1999.
Okay, for Miseducation.
Yeah.
There you go.
It is said that this record has been played at least 1 billion times through Spotify alone.
Oh, Tyler, the Creator, just won.
Oh, there you go. Yep.
Sorry. Anyways, what now?
Definitely rap. The album has been played 1 billion times on Spotify, Michelle.
By Kyle alone.
By just Kyle. Those are Kyle stats only. Yes.
I think that I was like, oh, I know like pretty much every song on here, and I was like, wait a minute, I think it's because Kyle plays it all the time.
Right? Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
We always ask if you would buy this album. We know, Kyle, that I would assume, have purchased at least the CD, if not the LP. I don't even know if it's readily available on vinyl or not.
Man, his vinyl you can only get bootlegs of. It's so hard to get the original pressings of the shit.
Right on. But you have purchased the CD at least once, and I would assume would again, Kyle, or if they reissued his stuff on vinyl, you would pick this up immediately, I would think.
100%.
Michelle, if you didn't have the luxury of Kyle buying everything Kanye ever made on any format, would you purchase this record?
I would.
You would. I find that interesting.
I would.
I'm very surprised by that. I'm just surprised by that.
There are more songs that I liked on it than I didn't.
That's fair. Yeah, and I kind of fell there too. So here's again, I will read my exact notes. Is because this is a record I've always been adjacent to. I've always heard about and never listened to, which is why I like this series because it helps me do things like that. Like maybe someday I'll listen to Adele. If we're gonna review it.
I guess that's the only way you're gonna listen to it.
Right, but I never would have blind bought this record. But after having heard it, I would buy it. And this is exactly in my notes here. I would buy this, but damn it, that Runaway outro. Like, because I prefer to listen to things on vinyl, and so I'm not gonna, pick up the needle.
Well, maybe it's on the end of side 2 or side 1.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna pick up the stylus in the middle of a track, so I'm gonna.
This record would sound damn good on your speaker system.
That's just facts. Yeah, it would absolutely.
Would any record sound bad?
No, there are very few records that sound bad in my with my setup. That's for sure. So as we go into the rating, we always give a rating of 1 to 10, with 10 being the best, and we give a reason why. I think we still do this the same way. I can never remember who goes first, but we'll have Kyle come out of the gate first and give us your rating on this record for 1 to 10 and why you gave the rating.
9. Because I still don't know what a 10 is.
Oh, I thought you were telling me no in German. I thought I was like, hey, Kyle.
No, I will not.
Hey, Kyle, go. 9. I will not be giving it a review.
So 9 out of 10, based upon the content of it, artwork, the way it was. So I don't know how much everyone knows about how Kanye releases records. Like most recently, he did the whole thing where he was doing those like live listening parties and that kind of thing.
Right.
Mhm.
With Yeezus, he did like these like around the country. He did random like pop-ups where he would start playing all these crazy visuals on like the side of walls, like
Right.
randomly in like New York City and California, and then play the music along with it. And for this, he released like 5 songs before the album came out over a 5-week period, or 4 or 5 songs. But it was called Good Fridays, and it was just these songs that had never been heard before would just pop up on his website. You can go and listen to them. And one came out every Friday, and it kind of gave everybody a preview of what they were going to be getting themselves into when the record actually came out.
Right on. Yeah. And so I get what you're saying, like the whole presentation, the way it was done.
Yeah, so
factors into it.
there's always something unique that he does to present a work of art to the people who want to listen to it.
Yeah.
So if Kanye West is not a 10, I don't think you have a 10.
I don't know.
Whereas I'm over here just passing out 10s willy-nilly. I think like the last, I don't know, at least 2 of the last 5 records we've done are absolutely 10s for me, that's for sure. Michelle, where are you at on your rating and why?
I gave it a 7 because I feel like I like 70% of the record.
Fantastic.
That's the first time ever your math makes sense.
Yeah, I'm redoing my number system.
Whoa. That's breaking news. Like that's like a Patreon exclusive right there.
Shit, we should pay for that.
Yeah.
Bleep it out.
Yeah, for sure. So you're reevaluating. Are we going to have to go do all of our album reviews over again now?
Yes.
That's
Starting
fine.
with Pet Sounds. No, I think it's a solid 7. Like there's nothing on there that I would absolutely never like to hear again. Like not one song. I feel like it's definitely an album that I could put on and listen start to finish. Yeah, so it's a solid 7.
You know, funny that you mentioned start to finish, because that's, aside from the singles that he released as like that Good Friday thing that he was doing, I've only ever listened to this record front to back. I never put on certain tracks. I literally just start at one and end at the end, and that's how I listen to it every single time.
Yeah, I could see that.
The end is a good way to stop.
So I am frightened because my rating comes in slightly lower than yours, Michelle, but the part I'm frightened about is that my rating makes sense based off of what you were saying, and nothing I've ever done has made sense based off of what you were saying. So I'm pretty scared at this point.
I'm so excited to hear it.
So my rating on this is a 6, and I literally typed this, let me explain. I typed the words, let me explain.
You want me to let you finish?
Yeah, I'm going to let you finish. So I adore the ambition on this, and I love what you were talking about, Kyle, the way it was presented, the way it's put together. There's a ton to love, and the things that I love on this I love, but the record for me falls apart more in the second half. And the fact that, you know, like I say, I've got 3 definite stinkers, and then I would really like to have a word with Mr. West about the end of Runaway. I would like to talk to him about it, because it's really upsetting to me. And for me, you guys know I'm a big track listing person and whatever. And like I said, I don't think I would ever okay, so here's how I feel. I assume this would be at least 2, it would be based on an hour and 8 minutes. It would be 2 LP set. If I purchased this on vinyl, I could see myself listening to the first LP every single time I pull this, and then being like, well, I don't really have to hear the second one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Outside
so
of
why isn't it a 5 then?
Outside of the Gil Scott Heron track, the very last song on it, I would want to hear that as well.
Okay.
So, and the stinkers that I have, most of them are like all iffy. Like if you put on Blame Game or was Lost in the World, I wouldn't be like, oh, this is the worst thing ever. Stop this from happening. But
right. But that's how I feel about all the stinkers that I had.
But when those songs start, I would be like, oh, I wish Gil Scott Heron was happening right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's where I fell on it. So all wildly different ratings and all different reasons. I think to me, the reasoning that we have behind each of our ratings matters as much as the rating. Well, I mean, the ones that make sense matter as much as the rating.
They all make sense, man.
Which maybe you're turning a corner. Maybe this is the first of a whole new world for you where you're.
I'm growing.
Oh boy, I choose to be cautiously optimistic about you growing. Let's see if we can get a streak going, and then we'll talk again after that.
All right.
Next week on the program, we are going to do something that was requested of us, and we have been getting around to getting to this particular topic, we did a wildly popular series on the amazing year that was 1991. We did a 2-part episode on that some months ago, and we still get people all the time comment on it and go back and listen to it and really like what we did there. And because many, many people, myself included, feel that 1984 is the only other year that could even come close to rivaling 1991, we are going to do at least one, probably 2 episodes on the topic of 1984. So that is going to come out next week. That will be the episode that follows this one. And then after that, we will circle back to an album review and keep going through our cycle there. So we have all sorts of good and fun stuff on the way. And who knows what will happen from here out. Michelle started making sense. It's a whole new ballgame for everybody involved.
Maybe my brain's growing back.
Oh, that would be awesome. Like we always say about this time, without music, life would be a mistake. Bye.
Bye.
The Infectious Groove podcast is hosted by Russ Robinson, Kyle Wimple, and Michelle Koselecki. Produced and edited by Russ Robinson. Intro and outro music composed by Chris Kimmel. Opening credits read by Stacey Robinson. Recorded with a Rode Podcaster Pro and Rode Pod mics.